4 years since he was convicted for having his wife murdered, and yesterday, for the first time ever in the High Court in Gqeberha, Christopher Panayiotou apologized for Jade's killing, essentially admitting guilt. Panayiotou been giving evidence for the state against his former staffer, Luthando Sioni. He's the man accused of arranging the deadly hit in 2015. Panayiotou, a former businessman, is serving life behind bars, and he's expected back in the dock today for cross-examination by Sioni's legal team. Journalist Dorina Lopsa has been covering this case since day one, and she joins us live now from Gqeberha now for an update on Sioni's trial. Thank you so much for joining us, Dorina. You know, to cover this from day one, what kind of response was there in the courtroom to Christopher for the first time ever apologizing?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Good morning. The apology was not expected, and the energy was tangible in the courtroom. Jade's family members were there, and they were visibly shaking, knowing that they were going to lay eyes on Panayiotou for the first time since he was sentenced, ironically, on his 30th birthday. And we heard him speaking yesterday, very softly spoken. Now, the Panayiotou we saw on the stand yesterday, compared to the Panayiotou we saw in that sting video set up by the Hawks, that was two different people.
It's interesting that he's made this sort of 360 turn. Do you have any idea of what could be behind it? Is it because of his time behind bars, perhaps?
Well, that is the million-dollar question. What did he get for spilling the beans? But I can tell you on record that Christopher is not getting anything. And in fact, State Prosecutor Marius Stander told me that Christopher wants to start his process of rehabilitation and he wants to clear his conscience.
Doreen, I know that his back was to the public gallery. He was speaking to the judge when he said it. But what did he actually say? How far did he go in his admission of guilt, if you like, within the apology?
The apology itself was after his evidence was wrapped up, and it was very brief, and I must say that he had his back turned to the family members. We were all just out of his peripheral vision, and he basically apologized to the judge. It was very brief. He said he was deeply, deeply sorry for what he had done, for the hurt he had caused the family members, and he also said that he does not expect them to forgive him. But during his testimony itself, he admitted that he did plan the hit on Jade, and he said his only role was the money. He had to pay the 80,000 Rand for the hit, and he paid 6,000 Rand rental for the vehicle that was used to abduct Jade. And he says Sioni was the guy who did all the dealings and made all the plans. He never knew the people involved in the plot. He was just the money.
Doreen, I'm surprised he didn't use his testimony perhaps in mitigation of sentence, for instance, to apologize, because then he would have had something to gain. What did the family say after he apologized yesterday?
I guess I can say apology not accepted. I think that was the general idea. A lot of people in the gallery were saying perhaps he should have turned around and at least faced the family when he's saying sorry and not addressing the judge. I think that might have been a little bit different, but from Jade's family, the apology was not accepted.
Did he sort of turn around at all and try and get some response from him? Interesting.
Not at all. Like I said, his body posture was in such a way that the gallery was right out of his peripheral vision. So he did not want to make eye contact at all. In fact, throughout his testimony, he couldn't even say Jade's name. He couldn't utter the words that he had executed his wife, Jade. He kept talking about the plan, the plan. And then the state prosecutor would ask him, do you mean executing your wife, Jade? And then he would just say yes. It was very hard for him to even say her name in court yesterday.
I've often wondered what happened to the child, Jade's child. I remember hearing what a good mother she was, and and the whole family dynamic. Do you know anything about what's happened there?
Jade didn't have any children. They were married for only 2 years. But Christopher did admit on the stand yesterday that he actually knew Jade for 10 years before they got married, and they were only married for 2 years.
So my apologies, it's been so long. What are we set to hear today?
Well, I think the big thing is what we were asking is, what is Sioni's argument going to be? Because he pleaded guilty to both the charges he's being charged with, count 1 being conspiracy to commit murder and count 2 being murder. Now, we heard in the initial trial, and certainly this is the way Sioni seems to be going, he's going to argue that the money Panayiotou gave him was not for the hit. He says this money belonged to him and that Christopher banked this money for him in a safe because he saved up to buy equipment for his gym. He was a gym owner, that was his passion, and he wanted to expand his business. And that's going to be his argument, because in the initial trial, it came out that Sioni's DNA is on the money. So obviously he's going to have to, that's going to be his argument, saying that that money was his own money to buy gym equipment and it was not money to pay for a hitman.
All right, thank you so much, Dorina Lopsa, for keeping us up to date there in the trial regarding Jade, who was murdered in a hit, allegedly, well, we know now, orchestrated by her then partner. We'll still